Hi everyone, alongside Mike Trossel, I'm Dave Giancola, and welcome back in for another USGA Championship Classic finish. The championship match of the 1990 U.S. Amateur Championship pitted Manny Zerman against Phil Mickelson. Now these are two players who grew up in San Diego, became good friends as kids, and then attended rival colleges, Arizona for Zerman and Arizona State for Mickelson.
Now, Dave, 30 years later, we all know Phil Mickelson's name, but his launch into golf stardom started here at Cherry Hills Country Club in suburban Denver, where he won the coveted HAVEMEYER Trophy.
Yeah, and after the morning 18, Mickelson led 3 up in the 36-hole championship match, and will pick up the action early in the afternoon round.
Hi everybody, I'm Roger TWIBELL, and welcome to our final day of coverage of this 1990 United States Amateur at Cherry Hills. The two final participants are both very interesting stories. They played high school golf together in San Diego, Phil Mickelson and Manny Zerman, and then in college, one at Arizona State, Mickelson, one at Arizona, Zerman. They compete against each other in the Pac-10, and they have made it now to the final of the U.S. Amateur. To introduce David Marr, and David, in the morning, Phil just played brilliantly once again. He doesn't show many flaws, does he?
He doesn't show any flaws. If there would be one, I'd say that he's a little bit over-aggressive as he tried to do at 17 and put the ball in the water. But what an outstanding summer this young man has had. First of all, he was the medalist here at 135 with a 64 on the second round. He's won the Porter Cup this summer, which is a very fine amateur tournament, won the NCAA for the second time, and he was low amateur in the U.S. Open. And Roger, an outstanding summer, outstanding young player. Manny Zerman, on the other hand, not as well known in the amateur ranks as Phil Mickelson. He has finished third in the NCAA championship. They were tied going to the last round, and he shot 71 and Phil shot 66. An outstanding player in his own right.
And now in the afternoon round, this is Manny Zerman, 3 down, and this is to win the hole. It's for birdie. And he rolls it in, and so as he did in the morning, gets off to a good start, David.
That's what he has to do too, and of course he needs a little help from this man, Phil Mickelson, who did hit a bad drive at the second hole. This is his second shot.
And catches the tree up on top and falls down into that tree area, and Mickelson with really no chance, as Manny Zerman is in good shape, and so Mickelson loses that hole and now is just 1 up as we move to the third, and this is his second shot. Now, David, he hit a driver off the tee here. That surprised you a little bit.
That surprised me quite a bit because he played the hole with an iron this morning, made a birdie, if you remember in the highlights, and he was just almost no shot there coming in over that bunker out of the tall rough.
Well, he caught a flyer, sent it over the green, and of course Zerman, playing very conservatively, is in pretty good shape, but Mickelson always with a terrific short game, and this is his third shot now.
Go in the hole.
Well, when you got that kind of game, maybe you can take some chances, and Mickelson goes 2 up.
Well, it's a little different so at playing smart, playing your game. You can't drive the hole, and he's lucky he got out with 3 there.
Well, they move to the 4th hole, 437 par 4, Manny Zerman. This to win the hole. And rolls it right in, so Zerman just 1 down.
That's what he had to do too, was to try to get off to a good start to put a little pressure on Phil.
Now the 5th hole, par 5. Mickelson for birdie, rolls it in. And the interesting thing so far in this afternoon round, no halves. Everybody's been winning the whole birdie.
But Manny's got to win the most of them.
Yeah. Now, at the 6th, Mickelson's already on the green about 10 feet from the hole. And Zerman nearly goes in the hole. And Mickelson would concede that to him. Phil missed his putt. And Manny Zerman and Phil Mickelson just going back and forth in the final 18. And now this at the 8th hole. Manny Zerman is 1 down. 8 is a 229-yard par 3. His second shot. Oh, are we seeing some talent out here?
Not only talent, that's good to see. Instead of one guy getting all the chip ins and everything, it's just my turn there, Phil, to chip one of these in.
So that puts the pressure now on Mickelson, who was safely on the green with his tee shot. And now Mickelson for birdie to have the hole. Is that any good?
It's the best I've ever seen two finalists play in a final match.
They have known each other for a long time. They've competed against each other for quite a while. Mickelson is one up through 27 holes against Manny Zerman. Cherry Hills was the course where the Arnold Palmer legend became part of the American experience at the 1960 U.S. Open. 7 shots behind going into the final round, Palmer drove the green on the par 4 first hole, birdied 6 of the first 7 holes, and finished with a 65. His score was 280, 2 shots better than the runner-up, the 20-year-old amateur phenom from Columbus, Ohio, Jack Nicklaus. And welcome back to Cherry Hills, just outside of Denver, Colorado, the final of the 90th United States Amateur Championship. Phil Mickelson one up on Manny Zerman through 27 as we move to the green at the 10th hole, 439-yard par 4, and Mickelson with a birdie putt to win the hole.
Stay.
And Bob Rosburg is out there with the group. Bob?
Well, he had the toughest putt you can have on any green. This green is the toughest green on the golf course. Zerman drove in the right-hand rough and had really no chance to get the ball in the green. He played his second shot short of the green, played about 15 feet of break on his chip, and still missed it 15 feet below the hole. So he's got this putt to remain one down.
And Manny Zerman with his caddy, David, his girlfriend, who's a golfer at the University of Arizona also.
Susan Pencow, she's a good player.
This, of course, as we've mentioned, an all-Arizona final, and if be right on track, if Zerman from Arizona could possibly pick up a victory. Eric Meeks of Arizona won in '88. Billy Mayfair of Arizona State won in '87. So it'll be 3 of the last 4 years for the Arizona schools and the U.S. Amateur.
Hit it.
As long as you're going to do Pac-10, we can't leave out Clemson and Chris Patton, who won last year.
No, who could forget?
I know you're from Arizona.
Now Phil Mickelson to win the hole with this putt and go 2 up. And nicely done. So Mickelson now 2 up on Manny Zerman through 28 holes. In the final match of the 90th United States Amateur Championship from Cherry Hills, a par 71 measuring just over 7,100 yards. And the 11th hole is a 577-yard par 5, David.
Well, at this altitude, it doesn't play that long, though. We're in the Mile High City, and you can see that what's required here on the drive, obviously, is to keep the ball in the fairway. Try to reach the crest of this hill. If you can get up that hill, you have a realistic chance of knocking the ball on the green in 2, and we've seen a lot of players do that. Otherwise, if you don't hit a big drive, you've got to play down short of the green, lay up, miss these bunkers that you see. Try to leave yourself the length shot that you'd like to play in here, and you do have a green that slopes quite a bit from right to left.
And the pin position there in the right front portion of the green. And Phil Mickelson now 2 up over Manny Zerman, who had really put together a good stretch of golf there until that bogey at 10. He had bogeyed that hole in the morning round and had really played terrific with 5 birdies in that time between those 2 10th holes.
That's good playing. That's what I mean. There hadn't been a match like this where both players played so well since 1959 when Jack Nicklaus and Charlie Coe got in the finals down the street here at Broadmoor, actually. But Nicklaus finally won 1 up.
Even though Zerman has gotten close, Mickelson hasn't lost control.
Drive up the right-hand side. good bounce.
That's fine. It's right up on that plateau, Bob.
He can reach the green from there.
Sure can. These guys hit a little farther than you used to, don't they, Rossi?
Than I used to or I ever did.
They hit it a lot farther than most average bears.
That ball's down the left-hand side. It's got to get lucky to keep him staying, going in the rough.
And it looks as though it did stay up on top. So Mickelson on the right-hand side, Zerman on the left-hand side of the 11th, the par 5. And right now, let's go to Bob Rosburg.
Thank you, Roger. Sometimes we tend to exaggerate when we talk about fellas' golf games, but anybody who has seen this match knows that there's really some great playing going on here. It's just outstanding. They're not only good players, but their touch around the greens is sensational. I haven't seen any better in a long, long time. Now let's go back to Roger TWIBELL.
That was Phil Mickelson. That was Phil Mickelson who came up and put his arm around Bob Rosburg's shoulder. And so you could tell that, Mickelson is enjoying the day and enjoying his golf and having a little fun with our Bob Rosburg. So Mickelson 2-up over Manny Zerman through 28, and we're going to be back. The third U.S. Open played at Cherry Hills was won by Andy North in 1978, who played an agonizing final hole. Needing only a bogey 5 to win, North dumped his third shot into a bunker. Played a great recovery to about 4 feet. And stepped away twice from the putt before holding it to win by 1 stroke. And we welcome you back to Cherry Hills Country Club outside of Denver. Phil Mickelson 2-up on Manny Zerman in the 90th United States Amateur Championship Final. 36 holes of match play, and it has been terrific so far. We have seen some great shot making. And let's go out now. The second shot at the par 5 11th, and Phil Mickelson.
Phil is 275 yards from the hole. He'll be able to reach the green easily. This morning he was 290 and knocked it over the green. You know, it may sound like they're hitting the ball an awful long ways, and they are, but the altitude up here makes a tremendous difference. And once you get the ball in the air, it'll go about 10% farther than it will at sea level.
Seems to be drifting off to the left, and it has, and it settles down. So Mickelson is there in 2, and he'll go up to the hole with his partner Manny Zerman. Phil Mickelson 2-up on Manny Zerman through 28, and our Frank Hannigan had a chance to speak with the NCAA champion Phil Mickelson.
Your dad's retired. What did he do?
Well, he's a medically retired airline captain, so he's a diabetic, and when he had to start taking insulin, he retired. But because he is retired, I can fly around the country for free, which helps out, you know, in the collegiate tournaments or amateur tournaments. But now he manages retirement homes, and he works hand in hand with my mom.
Okay, you have any brothers and sisters? They play golf?
21-year-old sister who's really gotten into golf the last month or two. It's unbelievable. She plays every day at 5:30 in the morning with guys at her course. And my brother, who's 13, same way. He's starting to really get into it. So I don't know if they're, you know, competitively they're not playing golf really, but you know, they love to play, and that's what I think it's all about.
Yeah, it'd be pretty tough to be the 13-year-old brother of Phil Mickelson. Do you teach him?
Well, you know, just maybe a few pointers, but I'm really not there. I really don't see him much, so my dad helps him out quite a bit.
Well, and his dad did an awfully good job with Phil. He's turned into quite a player as we go to the third shot for Manny Zerman.
Downhill lie, but a pretty easy pitch.
Didn't get that left-hand skip he was looking for. Green green slopes right to left there.
The last foreign player to win a United States Amateur was Canadian Gary Cowan back in 1971. As a couple of planes taken off.
Good air show out here. Those are old planes there.
Well, occasionally we'll see some planes from Stapleton taken over. This is what's happened in the 80s. Chris Patton, of course, and then Meeks and Mayfair from Arizona and Arizona State. Buddy Alexander, the golf coach at Florida. Sam Randolph, who's out on tour. Scott Verplank is. And Jay Siegel, the real true amateur. And Nathaniel Crosby, that great victory for him back in '81. And then Hal Sutton, who won in 1980. Now, Mickelson's third shot.
He has a terrible lie, but he is so good with these shots that I can look for anything. He is tremendous around the greens.
He is pitching uphill a little bit, isn't he, Bob?
Yes, but he has an awful lie.
What a great guy.
That's just amazing. I mean, that's as good as a shot could have been played right there.
So Mickelson and Zerman will both be looking at birdie putts with Mickelson 2 up. And we just heard from Phil Mickelson, and Frank also had a chance to speak with Manny Zerman, his opponent.
Manny Zerman, you were born in South Africa and came to this country a couple of years ago, 1987. Tell us about that.
Well, I had the opportunity to come over here in '87 after I'd played in the Junior World Golf Tournament in San Diego. And people I was staying with offered to house me if they ever wanted to come and stay in the United States. And it was always a big dream of mine to come over and play golf here. And when I heard that they would house me, I said, wow, I'm going to take the opportunity and come over and stay.
Okay. And then what happened? You played good golf over here and you became closer to that family?
Yes, I became very close to this family. Very special people in my life right now. They've done everything. They've put me through school. They've taught me a whole lot of things about life and about just about everything. They've just been great, great people. And without them right now, I don't think John and Sue Hogue, and they just unbelievable people. And I owe it all to them right now. I really do. They're just incredible people.
And your parents are still in South Africa, Manny?
Yes, both my parents, my brother and my sister are in South Africa, and they've never been over here, and hopefully I can get them over one day.
And the Hoax have formally adopted Manny, so he has 2 sets of parents.
That's a great story.
It really is. Now, Phil Mickelson, this is for birdie. Extends the left index finger down the shaft. His putting grip. It's just so good. David, how many putts have we seen him make the last 3 days?
He's made a gang of them. Of course, he's in the finals. That's what you have to do. You're not going to win unless you do putt.
Now, this is how Phil Mickelson got here. 71-64 medalist. Defeated John Grace, who was a finalist in '74. Jerry Pate beat Grace, and then he defeated Jeff Thomas 6-5. But then he had some tough matches against Mike Swingle was one of the players that he had a tough one with. Bob May, and then, of course, David Eager defeated David 2-1 yesterday. Now, this is Manny Zerman to have the hole.
He knew about 2 feet short there, but it was going left on him.
So every time Manny Zerman gets close, Mickelson then puts it in a little
just keeps you back
higher
up.
gear and just moves on up, as he's now 3 up through 29 holes. And the players will now move to the 12th, the par 3 measuring 202 yards.
I don't know if that's what is playing today. Bob Rosberg will tell us, but that, of course, is from the mark on the tee to the center of the green. And you see, you have to carry the lake there to a green that's of average size, but there's a big mound in the middle of that green. So it's very important as to where the pin is, as to what side of the green you're going to shoot to or try to shoot to.
And today, as we look at that green with water on the left and in front and the bunker on the right, that pin is back left today. And really, that's a pretty good pin placement. If we remember back to yesterday, a lot of shots were ending up in that general direction when it was right in front.
Well, short right over by that bunker, I think, is the hardest place because you bring both the lake and the bunker in play. This shot, where it is in the back left there, you have more room, more green to work with.
Now this is how Manny Zerman arrived. Stroke play 72-71. Then he defeated Mike Etherington 4-3 and John Souza 3-2. And then moved his way on through with a victory over Craig Reed of Gillette, Wyoming. And then in a rather interesting match against John Sposa. And then defeated Tom Shear yesterday. And now to the tee at 12. Bob?
Hole playing 205 yards today, Roger. It's a good pin placement for Phil. He cuts the ball very easy, very nicely. He can play all the shots. 4 iron.
Good looking shot there.
David, he hits it so high that he can land it so softly and hold these greens as well as anybody.
Well, a tall player, he's 6'2", 185 pounds. And of course, the taller you are, generally, the higher you hit the ball. A shorter player tends to hit it a little bit lower.
Manny Zerman.
And he's got to hit this green and get it in there pretty close. He can't let him go 4 up here. And as well as Phil is putting, it looks like he's going to make everything. He practically does. I think the most amazing thing is how well he can read these greens. These are not easy greens to read. Nope. Oh. That ball way to the left. Looks like it may be in the water.
I think it reached the crowd there, but
he cleared the water, Roger, but it's on the bank, yes.
And the officials are down, taking a look at it. It's not in the water, but Manny Zerman with a real problem at the 12th hole as Phil Mickelson's tee shot resting within 15 feet. As an amateur, Hal Sutton was so good that serious students of the game thought it possible he might win a U.S. Open or a Masters. That didn't happen. But Sutton dominated an amateur championship like no one since Jack Nicklaus when Hal won in 1980 at the Country Club of North Carolina. And we welcome you back to Cherry Hills. Phil Mickelson 3 up over Manny Zerman as they are at the par 3 12th, and Zerman with some problems.
He has a terrible lie, Roger. The only good thing about it is he has an uphill lie. He's going to be able to throw the ball very high in the air, and he should be able to stop it if he can get the club on the ball out of this lie.
Great shot.
That's terrific. Nicely done. Good touch there. Got it about hole high.
Thanks.
Now, earlier today, we want to show you Phil Mickelson at this 12th hole, and you can see he's on the green here right now in very good shape, looking at a birdie putt. But this was this morning, and David, he's not, what, about 15 yards off the green? And watch the swing. How open did he have that played?
That's as open as you can get it. And as soft as mother's love there when it hit the green.
Well, it was at least 60 degrees or better on that wedge. And obviously, he has a great imagination for a young player. We've seen him hit some terrific shots here this week because he's been in some trouble and he's worked out of it awfully well. And this putt now to win the hole and go 4 up.
Won as a freshman in 1989. He was the first college player to win as a freshman since Billy Ray Brown did at the University of Houston.
Scooted by just a little bit, so Manny Zerman
never hits any bad looking
No,
putts,
he
though.
doesn't.
might miss it, but it's always darting at one side of the hole or the other. This would be a big have for Manny.
Sure would.
Or even a win. I mean, listen, we're not going to get Phil this just yet. It makes this, it makes Phil's a little tougher. You might even get out of here with a win.
That familiar move to the hole when you know it's in. So Zerman with a terrific 3. And Mickelson now to finish up.
Zerman playing in his first amateur. Phil in his third.
Very solid. Mickelson, 3 up over Zerman. They have played 30 holes in the amateur championship. There has never been a more romantic or more surprising climax to a U.S. Amateur Championship than that of 1981 at San Francisco's Olympic Club. The winner was Nathaniel Crosby, Bing's boy, who holed this putt for a birdie to win his final match on the 37th hole. And that's a tee shot of Phil Mickelson at the 13th hole, 387-yard par 4. Shortest hole, David, on the backside.
But a neat little golf hole. Length is not your problem here. You see a lot of players will hit irons or a lofted club off the tee. Second shot, nice second shot in across the creek that you see there, which shouldn't come into play if you have a good line and you're not in the rough. See that Zerman's going with an iron.
He's just stuck with his game plan, David. He hasn't really changed what he's been doing all week in playing these holes.
I mentioned it was the shortest par 4 on the backside, 387 yards.
It's beautiful, just straightaway hole as you see the tees there. The players, obviously, you've got to avoid the bunker that you see on the right. That's why a lot of players are using an iron or a lofted wood off the tee here. Mickelson in a couple of rounds used a driver and drove it down there. We can pitch it on with a wedge, and you can see that it's relatively flat there. Distance again, not a problem. It's only 387 yards. The pin today in the right side of the green there. 5 bunkers around the green. Nice little golf hole.
David, Phil Mickelson, the left-hander. Let's take a look at his swing.
I love this young man's swing. He looks so comfortable and relaxed. There's not anything tight or stiff. You just see that he swings the club away. Good shoulder turn. Watch, he'll get his back all the way to the target. Club may go a little past parallel. Now, purists may find fault with that, Roger, but as long as he holds onto the club, take it back as far as you can. All right, now he'll start down. Weight moves back to his right side. Releases from his left side. You can see this thing down and through it with it. And when he finishes, that's where they get the term limber back.
Yeah, they sure do.
Don't you try that.
No,
Roger.
I won't. Now, Manny Zerman, he's got a lot more upper body in his swing, doesn't he?
Well, he does. He gets a lot more movement. Of course, this is with an iron and not a wood. Now, this is a club you're going to hit down on a little more. Good position there. Good posture, hands and arms close together. You can see both his right and left. Now, he gets the club back. A lot of movement there. Now, you watch the top part of his body. A lot of movement down and through the ball. But this, so far, hasn't hurt him this week. He keeps moving through. Weight back to the left side. Good solid footwork there. Maybe a little weight on the right side that need to move a little more off that right side. There you go. Then he released it. Now you can finish well. Good solid swing. Both players. You don't see very many bad or funny looking swings anymore, Roger.
Well, the prominent U.S. Amateur champions, Bobby Jones, Gene Littler, Palmer, Nicklaus, Tour Commissioner Dean Beeman, Lanny Watkins, Craig Stadler, and our own Jerry Pate. back in '74. And if, in fact, Phil Mickelson would hold on to win, he'd be the first time a medalist has won the championship since Sam Randolph in '85 and Verplank in '84. Bobby Jones did it twice, and a fellow by the name of Dick Chapman in 1940. Is Manny Zerman getting a look at his second shot.
He is 150. Perfect angle to come into the flag. Pitching wedge he has.
From how far, Bob?
115.
There it is.
Yeah.
Pretty.
Right over the flag and inside of 10 feet for a birdie putt for Manny Zerman.
Phil Mickelson has hit a perfect shot down the fairway. Is 100 yards to the flagstick.
Mickelson does everything else right-handed except play golf. He was taught by his father, and his dad said, now stand on the other side of me and watch me, and so he learned just like a mirror image. Dad tried to break him of that left-handed habit. It's a good thing he didn't. It just gets better. I mean, they just go back and forth. When one of them hits a good shot, the other one gets inside.
They're just playing a Sunday afternoon round, it looks like.
Mickelson 3 up over Zerman.
The USGA had just about given up on the prospects of a career amateur winning its amateur championship ever again when along came Jay Siegel, he of the glorious tempo. Siegel, at the age of 38, beat the best college top guns to win in 1982 at the Country Club just outside of Boston. And then Siegel did it again in 1983 at Chicago's North Shore Country Club. He was the first back-to-back winner since Harvey Ward in the mid-50s.
There's a beautiful look at the Rocky Mountains just west of us here. A few patches of snow still up on top, but it's been an absolutely gorgeous weekend. Little or no breeze at all. Temperatures in the mid-80s to 90-degree mark, and it's been a delight to watch this wonderful golf these two outstanding collegiate players are displaying here at Cherry Hills. A championship course, of course, 3 Opens, a couple of PGAs played here, a senior, amateur, and a mid-amateur. Zerman has this putt for birdie. Just runs by on the left-hand side, so Phil Mickelson gets set for his birdie putt. Frank Hannigan spoke with the lefty from San Diego.
You know, one of the things that's at stake this afternoon, don't you talk about that?
Well, you know, this is the U.S. Amateur Championship. This is the ultimate here. And like I've been saying all week, you're not a top amateur unless you win the U.S. Amateur. That's just the bottom line. I know that. You know that. So, you know, everybody here is fighting hard to win this one. This is it. This is what the whole summer comes down to right here.
And to win the hole and go 4 up.
He's beautiful.
Yeah.
You talk about him putting well, but look at all the times that he hits good shots and gets near the hole. I mean, sheer percentage, even a bad putter may stumble a couple in.
Gives himself some real good chances.
Yes.
Now Mickelson 4 up through 31 holes as they move to the 14th hole, a 473-yard tough par 4.
Well, they don't play it like it's anywhere near 473, but it is a wonderful golf hole. Creek all the way down the left-hand side, dog leg to the left. You want to hit driver or 3-wood, whatever you need to get to the top of this crest here, where then you play your second shot down to this green with the creek running along the left-hand side there. It's a marvelous golf hole, Roger. Very beautiful hole.
And with Mickelson now 4 up, if he wins this hole, We got ourselves a new U.S. Amateur champion as the pin is cut back and left. Actually, David, that should help the player, shouldn't it?
That's an easier pin position. Where it was yesterday, short is always a little bit harder. When it's back, they got a number of shots they can try to play to the hole.
Well, if Mickelson wins, he'll be the first lefty ever to win the amateur, and only one left-handed golfer's ever won a USGA championship. Ralph Howe won the Public Links Championship in 1988. And a little bit of concern there by Phil Mickelson.
He's in some bad drives here in the last 2 matches he's played yesterday.
That ball's in the right-hand rough.
Well, that's the opposite side he was been those last two because he got hung up with that cottonwood before.
It's a lot easier shot from this side. This morning he had a little problem over there, and yesterday afternoon also.
Mickelson's 3 under this afternoon, 4 under total so far in this day. Zerman, excuse me, 2 under this afternoon, so 2 under total. Look at it from a stroke play situation. But this is match play, and Mickelson is 4 up on Manny Zerman through 31 holes in this amateur championship final. This is Phil Mickelson, of course, an outstanding left-handed golfer. We just don't see that many left-handers, David, but what would happen if he was right-handed?
Well, our superb director, Mr. James Jeanette, is going to show us. There he is, flipped over, and now we'll look at it. What you're used to looking at more right-handed swings. You see Waite gets back to the right side, his left knee, or in his case, I'm just going to talk like he's a right-hander, his left knee, points behind the ball, a Waite on the right side, club well below parallel, but he's still got a good grip on the club. You don't want to take it there if you've lost your grip. Now, as any good player does, there's a good move back to the left side. Look at that position as he hits the ball. That is absolutely wonderful there, Roger. And, of course, stays there long enough to hit it and lets his hands and arms swing around. He's good, full finish there. You don't have to wonder where he gets his power.
He's got a good base. He's, you know, if you look at his build, he's got a good build for a golf swing.
Yes.
And this is the left-handed swing.
In reverse of that, now his right knee gets behind it. Waite back on his left side. Club below parallel, but once he moves correctly, that moves him into position. A little bit of spin out there with his right foot, but good, strong swing.
Well, he's got a good, solid base. He's got some good-sized feet on him. He's got a long torso for a tall man. He's about 6'2", but he doesn't have too long of legs, and shoulders aren't that wide, and that's what enables him, David, to make that nice big turn.
I think he looks better than that. You just when he got a short torso and shoulders aren't wide.
No, I said a long torso.
Oh, okay.
I said not too wide. It works good for the golf swing. That's what we're saying.
Well, you don't see any golfers that are really bulky in the upper part of their body anyhow. Which your back needs to be big and your arms.
Well, I just, you know, we saw in that clip of Scott Verplank, Jim Thorpe, who's got a very big, and consequently his swing is much shorter.
Right. Okay, after 198 plus 23. 212.
Okay.
Phil Mickelson gets set for his second shot now.
It's 221 yards, as you heard him say. Didn't catch the drive as well as he would have liked to. Has a good lie. Can run the ball in from this angle. On the left-hand side, you can't do that.
Cut a little bit. Cut a little bit.
Didn't have to run that one in.
No, he sure did, Bob.
Oh, great shot. He must have had a good lie, Bob. He carried that far and still stopped him.
I got a perfect lie, David.
What about Manny's shot?
Manny has a shot at about 200 yards. Has a 4-iron. Knows what he has to do now. Running out of holes.
And it's over the green. Zerman went right at the pin. He runs through the green. Mickelson's 4 up. Sam Randolph, the runner-up to Scott Verplank in 1984, went all the way in 1985 to win the amateur championship. Randolph made 2 brilliant plays on the last 2 holes to nip Peter Persons 1 up in the final match. He hit his approach shot to 2 feet on the 35th hole to set up a birdie and go 1 up. Then he saved par on the last hole by getting up and down from a greenside bunker. And this is Manny Zerman's 3rd shot. A lot of speed on it.
Slow down.
Wow. Now, keep in mind, Mickelson is 4 up, and if he wins this hole, the match is over. And Mickelson resting safely on the green. So Mickelson right now has this putt, David, to win.
The way he's been putting too, this putt downhill, so he doesn't have a problem with getting it to the hole. We could get some kind of view of what he does just before he goes back. He goes into a forward press there. It's his right wrist in sort of a bowed position and holds that throughout the stroke. Wonderful way to putt.
And there it is.
Left it short.
It's about the first leg putt I've seen.
He's been very aggressive all day long, and that's what happens to you sometimes downhill.
Yeah.
You think so much of the line, you leave it short.
And I told the Mickelson family, his dad and his younger brother right there. Now,
there's 2 for the match.
Zerman has to make this. And he doesn't.
I said for the match, I thought Phil had been given his, but he just marked it. So he makes this. Starts the 90s with the left-handed amateur champion.
Absolutely. This for the 90th amateur championship. Phil Mickelson.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
USGA Judy Bell. A little kiss from Judy there.
Well, Manny Zerman started today by winning the first hole. Mickelson came back to even it up on the second, and he led for the rest of the way. Phil Mickelson,
said you got in front and took a little
the
breather,
United
and then
States
just
amateur
went on.
champion.
Played great golf.
Thank you.
The amateur championship is usually won by a college golfer, but in 1986, the champion was a college coach. It was the year of Buddy Alexander, who was then coach of the LSU team. Alexander beat a bunch of college All-Americans, including Wake Forest Chris Kite in the final at Shoal Creek. Alexander had tried the Pro Tour, but was reinstated to amateur status by the USGA.
Manny Zerman, you've had a great week here. I know you're disappointed, but you're going to be in Augusta. You're going to be on a lot of teams. I think it's a great thing for you this week.
Thank you very much, Bob. It's been a great week, and you know, I played good up until now, and I had a little trouble today in a few holes, which cost me a little bit. But I lost to a great player, and I'm just really happy to have got this far.
10th hole sort of took the momentum away from you that when you drove in the right-hand rough.
Sure did, and the same thing this morning. You know, I hit it in the right bunker, greenside bunker this morning. I was plugged, and I had no shot. In this afternoon, I hit in the right rough, and I had no shot from there either because the green is so severe. So, you know, that kind of, you know, I lost my momentum right there.
Being high school teammates and both going to schools in Arizona, the match was sort of quiet. There wasn't a whole lot of joking around. It was a very serious deal today.
Yes, that's one thing about Phil and I. We're best friends off the golf course, but even when we play at home, on a little friendly basis, it's the same deal. It's hard to get a word out of either of us, and I guess it's just so intense that we both want to beat each other so bad that we don't end up talking too much.
What about your plans now, Manny? Do you intend to finish school and go on with your amateur career?
Sure, I am definitely going to finish school and go on with my amateur career, sure.
Well, it's the first chance we've had to see you here in the United States play very much, but you really played great, and I know we'll see a lot more of you.
Thank you very much.
Phil, you were just a little too much today. You were too much all week, but it seemed like every time that Manny came to you, you just turned it up a notch.
I don't know about that. I just know that every time I see him on the green, I get scared. Every time I see him in the fairway, I get scared. You saw today what a great player he is, and to play with that day in and day out in high school just, made me, and I'm sure him too, that much better.
Well, it was a sensational match. Holes like 8 after he pitched in looked like he's going even with you, and you hold about a 20-footer. And then the back 9, you played about as well as you could play.
I feel I really played well, but yeah, the putt on 8 was great. Boy, talk about chills in your spine. That was them right there.
Well, Phil, you said yesterday that you're definitely going to finish school. You've got a lot to look forward now. You're going to play at Augusta. You'll be in the British Open. You'll be able to play in the United States Open. Being an amateur isn't too bad when you have those perks.
No, definitely not. And I'll be amateur for a while yet.
You played very aggressively, Phil. We might have questioned a couple of things you did out there today, but you took a driver most of the time. You didn't fool around laying up at all.
That's just the way I've always played, and I didn't think that it's gotten me this far. I figured, if it's won me past tournaments, keep playing with it.
You played some shots around the greens that I have never seen the likes of. The one you played at 12 this morning and the one you pitched in at 3 this afternoon from over the green. You take a full swing at that shot. Have you always played it that way, or is that something you've learned?
Well, I've always played it that way. My dad built a little putting green in our backyard and a sand trap and a chipping area. So after school when I was young, that's what I would do for a couple hours, just mess around there. And hitting the same shot gets so boring that you make up shots. You go underneath trees and so forth. So that's mainly when I learned it was when I was younger.
You were very loose all day. You came up to me when I was on camera there and gave me a little hug and everything. But is that the way you play all the time? Do you ever get tight?
Well, earlier today I was definitely tight. The first few holes, but yeah, I'm normally loose. I think that the gallery comes out here to to be entertained, not just to watch good golf, but to have a good time. And I want to, smile at them and let them know that I appreciate them coming out and supporting amateur golf.
Well, golf needs a lot of that, and I'm sure we'll see it from you. Who we got here?
Congratulations, man. I'll tell you what, I'd like to take a moment and thank my dad, first of all. Unbelievable amount of stuff that he's done for me. I mean, they're just the greatest parents, my mom and back home. Another one that I want to thank is my pro, Dean Reimuth, over here. This guy, this last couple weeks, I told him that this was the tournament I wanted, and he had one busy schedule, but he took the time off to help me on the range whenever I needed. I said, I need it 8 in the morning tomorrow, and he changed his schedule for me. So, I really appreciate that. And then my coach, Loy, over here at ASU.
We've seen a lot of him, Phil. He's been around a lot lately.
Well, he's a big guy, but he's trimming down. He's good man.
What about trying to turn him back into a right-handed player, Mr. Mickelson? Do you don't have any regrets that he refused?
I was just going to ask you, don't you think that might be a mistake at this point? No, he had it in his mind that he wanted to do it the other way, and he was too young to try and understand, left from right, and so he just went ahead the way he wanted to. I've got a left-handed son over here, and he plays right-handed. So
you've got him coming from all sides.
Right.
Phil, we want to congratulate you. I know we'll see a lot more from you, and the best of luck. Thank you. Now let's go back to Roger TWIBELL.
Thank you very much, Bob. That's a great set. I'll tell you, he's got the whole package right there.
Yes, he does.
He is something else. Phil Mickelson, the
the winner of the United States Amateur Championship, and we'll be right back.
Billy Mayfair of Scottsdale, Arizona had compiled a stunning record as an amateur and was therefore deemed the man most likely to succeed in the 1987 Amateur Championship at Jupiter Hills in the searing August heat of Florida. But being the favorite in the field of 288 is no guarantee of success. Mayfair was up to it. He easily survived the championship's grueling format of 9 rounds in 6 days with a putting stroke as smooth as silk. And welcome back to Cherry Hills. The 1990 United States Amateur has been completed. Phil Mickelson won it, and with that, Mickelson has been named by the USGA to the 1990 World Amateur Team Championship, which will take place in Christchurch, New Zealand. Alan Doyle, 42 years of age, from LaGrange, Georgia, also on that team. David Duval, a fine young player from Georgia Tech, and David Eager, 30. So we got a little young, we got a little old on that World Amateur Team Championship. And 4,765 players started out in this United States Amateur Championship. And here are some golfers from a rich range of professions. Take a look. The youngest player was 17-year-old Matthew Todd of Visalia, California. Matthew's had a great summer. He won the USGA Junior Amateur Championship. The oldest player is 53-year-old Gordon Brewer, a corporate financial officer from the Philadelphia suburb of Huntingdon Valley. And then these expert golfers come from a rich range of professions, and our expert David Marr usually has an idea what they do besides play golf.
Alistair Cato, well, flashed up a little soon there. I would have thought he was the next host of Omnibus.
Well, he's from North Hadley, Massachusetts. And then the name Andrew Frost, that sounds familiar.
Sounds like David, but this sound, ooh, I'd hate for him to be working on my teeth.
Well, he's an orthodontist from St. Louis, Missouri. And then Harvey KOHS.
It's like a professional fisherman to me, something you'd find at Key West.
Wrong. High school math teacher from Los Gatos, California. And then Rick LaRose.
Ooh, sounds like an extra on a Western movie, playing the dark hat.
Well, not far. He's 44 and he's the golf coach at the University of Arizona. He coached Robert Gomez. This year's locked to be Rookie of the Year on the PGA Tour. And then Darren Veach, big man.
Yeah, it looks like he should be with the Arizona Highway Department.
Well, he actually plays for the Toronto Maple Leafs of the National Hockey League. And then Clay Long.
Clay Long, sounds like a politician from Louisiana.
He doesn't hit it short. He's Vice President for Research and Development at the McGregor Golf Company. David Eager.
Oh, that's a dead giveaway there, our man on the tour.
He's the 88 Mid-Amateur Champion, and he's in charge of the field staff and regarded as one of the world's leading authorities on the rules of golf. And Tom Yellen.
I would guess Tom Yellen is a producer on television.
Swing looks too good to be a producer, but he does for ABC News. Buddy Alexander. Well, this is obvious. 4 former winners who are playing here, and Buddy happens to be one of them. He won the amateur at Shoal Creek in '86. And then Vinny Giles, who was the 1972 amateur champion. Giles is an attorney who represents golfers. His clients include Tom Kite and Beth Daniel. And the defending champion, Chris Patton. Chris got into match play, played badly, and was eliminated by 8-6 in the first round. Chris then announced he had turned pro, and his first pro tournament will be the Canadian Open. And there were also 2 sons of renowned professional golfers in this United States amateur field. This is John Paul Hebert, the 19-year-old son of former PGA champion Jay Hebert.
Has a little brother that can play too.
And BRINEY Baird, whose father is Butch Baird, who's doing very nicely on the senior PGA Tour. And then for the over 40 set, this is Jay Siegel from Berwyn, Pennsylvania. He's in the insurance business, and he was the U.S. amateur champion in both 1982 and 1983 and lost this year here in the second round. And some future amateur sites. Where are we going to be at next year for the United States Amateur? Well, outside of Chattanooga and Old Tua, Tennessee, the Honors Course. And then in 92 at the Muirfield Village Golf Club in Dublin, Ohio. Champions in Houston, Texas in 93. And we're going to skip over 94 and go to 95.
It hasn't been announced
Newport
yet.
Golf
94.
Club. And that's how it sets up right there. Well, a lot of interesting things now for young Phil Mickelson. He will be playing at Augusta, the British Open, the U.S. Open, and kind of some interesting pairings there because he'll be seeing a lot of Nick Faldo in a couple of those events.
You can learn a lot from him, too.
And this is a young man who really is interested in records. He's interested in establishing himself as one of the great amateurs to have played the game. Ben Crenshaw won 3 NCAA titles. He has 2 and would like to do that. And obviously, a very bright future for Phil Mickelson, the 90 amateur champion. For Frank Hannigan and David Marr and Bob Rosburg, I'm Roger Twibell. Coming up next, the Little League World Series from Williamsport, Pennsylvania. It'll be Shippensburg, Pennsylvania against Chinese Taipei in the championship game. And a reminder, following the Little League World Series, it will be the ESPN Sports Center with Robin Roberts and Bill Patrick. That coming to you at 7 Eastern Time. Phil Mickelson of Arizona State beats Manny Zerman of Arizona in the final of the amateur.